My name is Sierra Colson. I am a civil engineering major, and currently I am an intern for the capital planning department of OSU, and this summer I will be a construction intern for Kiewit.
My name is Brenna Blankenship, and I'm a fisheries and wildlife sciences major with a specialization in wildlife biology.
I'm Sarah Melling. I'm a double major in math and econ, and I haven't really done anything in the field.
So originally I wanted to be an architect, but I love math and science a lot. My brain is very right-brained and very black and white, and so architecture I realized just wasn't really my thing. The artsy side doesn't come to me naturally, but math and science does. So that's where civil engineering definitely was that good middle ground. I had lots of math and science to explore and infrastructure to help and deal with and use that for a good cause. So.
It kind of started my senior year of high school. I shadowed a biologist and went out with their technicians and worked on a project with spotted owls, and I really liked it and thought that it'd be like a field that I'd be passionate about later on in my life. So I went to school for it.
So for math, I was always really good at math and really wanted to I really liked learning the back part of math, so understanding why everything worked. And then for econ, I never really learned anything about econ in high school. We didn't really have any classes for it. And then I took a econ class at Oregon State and I really enjoyed it, and I really liked learning about how the government worked and that kind of thing.
I think a lot of people think that it's pretty cool and different that I'm doing it as a girl, and that some people can be shocked that that's something that I'm interested in, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I usually get one of two reactions. Usually it's either they are very oh, what you got you into that, and they're very curious, they're very excited, or they kind of are very confused and almost shocked, and it takes them a little bit to oh, okay. So yeah.
I feel like they think I'm smarter than I am when they learn my major, which is not always great.
I feel like a lot of this type of field is male dominated for sure. I think that people are becoming a lot more accepting to having women in the field. I think that it's good that more are getting involved, and but I can see that there is negative light in some ways.
There's certain situations in the job where you get different sort of comments or something like that. Some things people are uncomfortable with having a female in that position, but I never feel uncomfortable. I am always thought of myself as equal to everyone else that I work with. Yeah.
Yes, so in math especially, I feel like I'm consistently having to prove myself throughout every single class. If I get one thing wrong, I'll have to continuously prove myself, or boys in the class, I will get a better test score than a boy by 20 points, and he will still treat me like I don't know what I'm doing and that sort of stuff, which isn't fun all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely little things, gestures. I definitely understand males being courteous and opening doors for me, and oh, you're okay, I can do that for you, sort of thing. But definitely after a little while, it starts to wear on you that I can do that, I'm capable. I am perfectly capable, let me do it. I can open my own door, I can hammer the stick into the ground, whatever it is. But yeah, things like that.
I think people just weren't sure if I can do it, or if I can do the same work that all the guys can and everything like that. I feel like a lot of women in the field are just doing research behind the scenes rather than going out and getting it.
I've faced a lot of challenges with having to prove myself and having to always, I feel like I always have to be right in classes and always have to do that. And I feel like they're more or less gender related, because people boys make when the boys in my class make mistakes, it just kind of gets swept aside, versus when the girls make mistakes, it's a lot more like prevalent, and people kind of think they're not as smart as they are and do that kind of stuff. So I feel like it is a little gender related, but it also just might be me seeing it as gender related. But yeah.
I think the older generation definitely has some different opinions on what women in the field can and can't do. I feel like there is like a younger generation that's coming to light now, and things are changing, but I think that it could be a little bit more accepting in some ways.
Like growing up socially, like females are put down. They're usually the householders. They're historically that, and so I think that we've always come to view females as this figure of, oh, they're not strong enough, they don't like math and science, they're into the arts, things like that, and I don't think that that's correct for everybody, and so I feel like just combating that issue. Mm-hmm.
I still feel like it's a lot of just how things were looked in the past, and it's just taking time for people to realize the equality and how it can be done by any person as long as they have the right skills and knowledge about it. And I think that people just need to be informed that it's something anyone can do.
I feel like one of the big issues with it is that people aren't as accepting of it, and people don't treat you the same. Versus when men go into a women-dominated field, I feel like a lot of people treat them like they are, like they're dumbing themselves down. Versus when women go into a male-dominated thing, they think it's always, why are you doing this? Like, it's always why, like, you could be doing something else. And I feel like that's a weird issue and not quite what people should be doing.
Yeah, I would say it is an issue. I think that is also isn't like a social issue. It's not necessarily to put on fair to put on one person or the workers in general, because it's the culture that they grow up in, and I think that it's something that us as a society kind of has to combat and realize that, like, hey, if they're saying a comment that really wasn't appropriate, just ignore it and move past it. And also, I would encourage females or males to go into opposite sex industries, because that's how the issue really gets resolved, is getting more females in male dominant industries and vice versa. So
I definitely feel when I worked on a field study, it was mostly guys that were on the crew, and they kind of just didn't interact much with me because I feel like they didn't think that I could be doing the same things. And then they definitely warmed up and were like, oh yeah, she can do this, she's cool, like it's something that she's passionate about.
The advice that I would give is that you work just as hard to be there, you are confident that this is what you want to do, and just keep going forward, and don't pay any attention to the fact that you're different gender than the male colleagues around you or the female colleagues around you, and just that you're worth being there. So yeah.
I would say do it. It's really good, and if you enjoy it, it makes up for it. Just don't be as, like, don't take what people say to heart as much, and like don't listen to people if they tell you you can't do it, because it's not as bad as you think.
I think that they should just really go after it and go do it if it's something they're passionate about. I don't feel like there should be any reason that like a woman can't do the same thing in this type of field that a guy couldn't do. I think that if you just show passion and dedication towards it, you'll get respect.